My parents booked a luxury beach vacation for my siblings and told me, you can't come, but you can watch the house and the dogs. So I booked my own trip instead. When they returned to an empty house and no dog sitter, they panicked because I was the oldest. 3 kids total. Me, my younger brother, and our youngest sister. Our parents never made it a secret that they had favorites. Maybe it wasn't obvious to outsiders. But when you grow up always being told to be responsible while the others get handed praise just for existing, you notice. You feel it. You carry it. They always had an excuse for why I couldn't have what the other 2 got. We don't have the money right now. You're older, you'll understand. Your sister's going through a phase. Your brother is still learning. And the thing is, I tried. I tried hard to be what they needed. When I got into college, I stayed close to home so I could come back every weekend to help out. When my dad had back surgery, I was the one driving him to appointments. When my mom needed help setting up her online store, I spent a week designing the whole thing for her free. When the pandemic hit, I moved back in. I had a good job lined up, it fell through. They said, just stay here, save your money. But slowly, without even realizing it, I became their full-time housekeeper, IT guy, mechanic, and dog walker. They never said, thank you. Not once. At first I thought it was just temporary. Then a year passed. Then 2. My siblings went on with their lives. My brother dropped out of school but still got a car for his birthday. My sister didn't pay rent and still had her room redone twice in the same year. Meanwhile, I was told to pay the water bill, just this month, every month. They never saw me as someone who needed rest or care. I was just available. Always. No life of my own. No boundaries. And every time I tried to set one, I was ungrateful. So when they announced the trip, I already felt like I knew what was coming. It was a Saturday evening. We were all in the living room. My mom had this big grin and started handing out gift bags. Inside, sunglasses, tiny bottles of sunscreen, printed flight itineraries. My brother and sister started screaming. They were going to Cabo. Full week. Beach resort. Oceanfront. I said, wow, this looks incredible. She didn't even blink. Just said, yeah. So, we need you to stay behind and watch the house. You know the dogs. They love you. I was quiet for a second. You're not taking me? She looked confused, like the question itself was rude. Well, someone has to stay, right? We figured you'd want to. You're good with the boys. She always called the dogs the boys like they were children. I asked, why not board them? She said, you know how expensive that is? Then added, besides, you're always here anyway. That part broke me a little. The way she said it. Not even mean. Just like it was a fact. You're always here anyway. Not, we value you. Not, we want you to rest too. Just, useful. Not loved. Not chosen. I nodded and walked to my room. They didn't notice. Too busy planning outfits and excursions. I stayed up all night thinking. Then I booked my own trip. Colorado. Secluded cabin. Heavy snow that time of year, but beautiful. I didn't know what I was looking for exactly. Maybe peace. Maybe to just feel like my life was my own, even for a week. I didn't tell anyone. I let them believe I was watching the house. I helped them pack. Gave my mom her charger when she forgot. Walked the dogs one last time. Told them I'd stock the fridge. Then I loaded up my car and left. The dogs? Safe. I brought them to my friend Tyler's place an hour away. Big fenced yard. They love him. His niece plays with them all day. They weren't abandoned. Not for a second. But my parents didn't know that. Day 1 of their trip. 14 missed calls. 22 texts. Hey, are you okay? Where are you? The house is empty. Did you take the dogs? Are you playing some kind of game? Answer me. I didn't reply. I made hot chocolate. Read a book by the fire. Listen to snow fall on the roof. By day 2, the texts turned angry. I can't believe you'd do this. You scared us. You ruined our trip. Where are the dogs? If something happened to them, you are dead to me. That was my dad. All caps. Full rage mode. I still said nothing. Day 3, I checked the airline app. They changed their return flight. Left early. Cut the whole trip short. I found out later that the neighbors had called animal control. They heard barking. Except there were no dogs. Cops got involved. Thought the house had been robbed. Turns out when you leave your home unattended without registering it with the HOA, you can be fined. Big time. They got home to a cold house. Pipes nearly frozen. Trash cans knocked over. Mail overflowing. They were livid. And scared. And totally in the dark. When I got home 3 days later, they were waiting. My mom ran to the door and actually slapped my arm. Not hard, but still. She was crying. My dad just stood there, arms crossed, jaw clenched. I walked in. Calm. Like nothing happened. Like I wasn't about to be screamed at. My mom said, "You don't understand what you've done." I said, "No. I do. I stopped doing everything for people who never did anything for me. My dad said, "You're our son. You're supposed to help." I said, "I've been helping for years." And when something good finally came, I wasn't even considered. He said, "Your brother and sister needed this." I asked, why didn't I? They had no answer. They kept trying to twist it, make it about how I betrayed them, how I lied, but I didn't yell. I didn't fight. I told them the dogs were fine. I even showed them videos of Duke rolling in snow with Tyler's niece. Then I said, "You always expect me to give. But I'm done. I'm not your safety net anymore." I didn't wait for a reply. I went to my room, packed a bag. I'm moving in 2 weeks. Tyler has a guest room. Cheap rent. Peaceful. I've already got interviews lined up in the area. They don't talk to me much now. My mom sends these weird guilt texts. Like, "We were just trying to do something nice for your siblings. And I thought you liked the dogs." I do. I love them. That's why I made sure they were taken care of. Better than they would have been with my parents. But I don't respond. I've given enough. I found out later that their Cabo trip was non-refundable. They lost almost $4,000 by leaving early. My sister blamed me for ruining her first real vacation. My brother made some snide post on Instagram about snakes in the family. Whatever. What they don't know yet is this: there's a family trust. My grandma left it for all 3 of us. But my name's missing from the paperwork. They rewrote parts of it 2 years ago when I was in the hospital after surgery. I found out last week. And I have the email thread. It's not over. After I moved into Tyler's place, things were quiet at first. Peaceful, even. I finally had space. Privacy. No barking orders, no guilt trips, no walking into a room and being handed a broom. But silence doesn't mean calm. It just means the storm is loading. One night about 2 weeks after I moved out, I got a text from my sister. "Did you really think we wouldn't find out?" That's all it said. Then my phone buzzed again. My brother, sending a screenshot. It was an old family group chat, long dead until now, with a photo of my grandma and a message underneath from my dad. He doesn't deserve anything. He made his choice. The trust is clear. I stared at it. My chest got tight. I knew it. I'd suspected something was off for a while, ever since my mom started making weird jokes about the ones who stay loyal. So I did something I hadn't done in years. I called my cousin Natalie. Natalie is 2 years older than me. Smart, scary, sharp. Went into estate law. She always liked me more than my siblings. She used to bring me books when I was a kid and say stuff like, "You're not crazy, your family's just petty." I told her everything. The trip. The years of being the family helper. The trust. The screenshots. She went quiet for a second. Then said, "Email me. Every document. Every message. I'll look into it." That night, I barely slept. The next day she called me back, furious. "Your name was removed illegally," she said. "You were listed in the original trust." I have a copy. Turns out, after my surgery 2 years ago, my parents contacted Grandma's lawyer and pushed to streamline the paperwork. Told him I had mental instability and had cut ties with the family. Claimed I was a risk with money and didn't want to be included. And here's the worst part, my signature was on the new version. Forged. I felt like I'd been punched in the chest. They forged my name. Removed me from my grandma's legacy. Took my share and handed it to my siblings. And no one told me. Natalie said the lawyer wasn't suspicious because my dad had power of attorney while I was under anesthesia and recovering. Said it was just a formality. Everything looked official. I asked her what we could do. She said, "We sue." But I hesitated. Because here's the thing, suing your own parents is a line. Once you cross it, there's no walking back. But then I thought about every time I was told to sit down and shut up. Every chore. Every task. Every time they acted like my life belonged to them. And now they'd stolen from me. It was never about money. It was about control. So I told Natalie, "Let's do it." A few days later, my mom texted me out of nowhere. "Hey sweetheart, can you come by and help with the gutters this weekend? Your dad's back is acting up." I laughed out loud. I didn't reply. That weekend, they were served. The lawsuit was real. Forgery. Breach of trust. Misrepresentation. Fraud. Natalie went hard. She attached photos of my hospital records. The email thread. The flight records showing my parents vacationing during the same week they claimed I was hostile and missing. And that's when the calls started again. This time from numbers I didn't recognize. Extended family. Aunts. Uncles. Cousins I barely knew. "Why are you tearing the family apart? Your parents did so much for you. This is a private matter, don't make it public. You're just bitter you didn't go to Cabo." Every word stabbed like a knife. But none of them asked me what happened. Not one. And then came the biggest hit. My dad's boss found out. Someone at the HOA, probably nosy Mr. Edmonds across the street, heard about the police call and the lawsuit and tipped off his company. Apparently, the company has a strict ethics clause. He was put on unpaid leave pending review. My mom called me that night, crying, begging. She actually said, "You're destroying us." I said, "You already did that. I'm just holding the mirror." Click. Next week, I went to get my stuff from their house. They weren't home. I'd planned it that way. But the front door had been changed. New lock. My old key didn't work. I stood there on the porch, holding a box, staring at a house that no longer belonged to me in any way. After everything I gave to it, I left the box there. Inside was an envelope. Copies of the forged trust paperwork. Highlighted in yellow. Natalie's business card taped to the top. They wanted war. Now they have it. 3 days after I dropped that box off on their porch, my phone lit up with a call from a number I hadn't seen in years. My Uncle Gary. He's my dad's older brother. They don't talk. Some money drama from the 90s. I hadn't seen Gary since I was 13. I let it go to voicemail. Later, I played it. "Hey kid. It's Gary. You probably don't remember me. But I heard about what's going on. You're not crazy. Call me when you can." That stuck with me. You're not crazy. I called him the next night. Turns out, this wasn't the first time my parents pulled something shady. When Grandma was still alive, she gave Gary copies of all her estate documents, just in case. She didn't trust my dad to handle things if something happened to her. She even told Gary, "Don't let your brother screw this up." Gary had proof. Email threads. Old letters. Scans of her signature. The trust was meant to be split 3 ways, equal. No one had permission to change it. He said, "Your dad always wanted more. Thought he deserved more." I asked, "Why are you helping me?" He paused. "Because your grandma loved you. She saw how they treated you. She used to send you money, remember?" I did. Quiet little birthday cards with $50 tucked in. My mom always made me hand it over. Said, "We'll put it in savings for you." I never saw that money again. Gary laughed bitterly. "Yeah, that savings account? Never existed." That was another punch. And it wasn't the last. A week later, Natalie called me. She said, "You need to see something." She sent over a PDF. It was a scanned bank statement. A savings account in my name, but I never opened it. It was created 16 years ago. Had deposits from Grandma, birthday after birthday, holiday after holiday. But it was drained 5 years ago. The account had 2 authorized users, me and my mom. She emptied it. Over $18,000 gone. I stared at the screen for a long time. Not because of the money, but what it meant. They stole from a kid. I called her. She picked up on the second ring, all chipper, like nothing had ever happened. "Hey honey, we're about to sit down for dinner." I cut her off. "You emptied my savings account." Silence. "You used my name, and you took every cent Grandma gave me." Still silence. Then she said, "We needed it. You were living here rent-free. You don't understand what it costs to raise kids." I couldn't even speak. She added, "And you never said thank you." Not once. She hung up. Natalie updated the lawsuit. Fraud. Identity theft. Financial abuse. It was stacking up. Now here's where it got twisted. A week before the first court hearing, Tyler sat me down. He looked nervous. I hadn't seen him like that before. He said, "I need to tell you something. Don't freak out." I braced myself. "My girlfriend's older sister is dating your brother." I blinked. "Okay, they've been talking. And your brother's been running his mouth. A lot." I waited. "He said your parents moved all the trust money already. That there's nothing left. That even if you win, you won't get a dime." My stomach dropped. "Worse," Tyler added, "he said they made a second trust. A new one. With everything in your dad's name. And they're planning to move to another state to avoid court orders." I didn't even know that was possible. But Natalie did. She said, "It's called a quiet revocation. It's shady, but not illegal, unless we prove intent to defraud." We needed more proof. So I did something I never thought I would. I messaged my sister. I kept it neutral. Just said, "Hey, I know you're upset. But can we talk?" She answered fast. Too fast. She said, "Sure. Wanna meet?" We met at a diner. Neutral ground. Public. She showed up wearing designer sneakers and a brand new bag. Said it was a gift from Mom and Dad for being the only loyal one. She smiled like she had power. I asked her straight up, "Did Dad move the trust?" She didn't answer. Just stirred her iced coffee and said, "You're making things harder than they need to be." I said, "It's already hard. I just want what Grandma left me. What I was supposed to have." Then she said something that made my hands shake. She wanted to change it anyway. She told Mom you didn't act like family. That you always thought you were better than us. I knew that was a lie. A dirty one. But she believed it. Or needed to. She leaned in and said, You should have just stayed in your lane. I left. The next day, I filed a motion with Natalie to freeze all family assets. House, accounts, everything. She filed it under emergency fraud prevention. And it worked. The court ordered a temporary freeze while the case was reviewed. My parents couldn't touch anything. Couldn't sell the house. Couldn't transfer money. Couldn't even renew their car lease without permission. They lost their minds. My brother called me, furious, screaming that I was tearing apart our legacy. I told him, you already sold it out. Then something happened I didn't expect. Gary called again. He said, you need to come see something. I drove out to his place. An hour away, he handed me a folder. Inside were 2 photos, Polaroids. One of me and Grandma at age 5. One of me and her at 16, after my graduation. He said, she kept these in her wallet until the day she died. I just sat there. Quiet. Then he said, she left a letter. For you. I've had it this whole time. He handed it to me. Folded, yellowed, in her handwriting. The first line broke me. If you're reading this, it means they didn't protect you. I haven't told anyone what the rest of the letter said. Not yet. But I will. When the time is right. Court day arrived. I didn't sleep the night before. I laid in Tyler's spare bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking of every little moment that brought me here. All the times I stayed home while my siblings got to have lives. All the favors. All the times they said, you're here anyway. All the meals I made. The dogs I walked. The savings they took. The lies they told. I walked into that courtroom in a cheap suit that didn't quite fit. My mom wore pearls like it was a photo op. My dad looked like he was trying not to punch a wall. My brother and sister sat in the back, smug, like this was beneath them. Natalie sat next to me, calm, laser-focused. She had a thick binder. Tabs. Color-coded. A highlighter in her hand like a sword. The judge started with introductions. Then the real part began. Natalie started with the forged signature. We have evidence showing the defendant submitted a revised trust document with a falsified signature. Here's a handwriting analysis. Here's a medical record showing my client was under anesthesia the day the signature was dated. Silence. My dad looked red. My mom picked at her fingernails. Then Natalie went in on the stolen savings account. We discovered a custodial savings account meant for the plaintiff. Authorized withdrawals show $18,000 was taken by the defendant without consent. The judge raised his eyebrows. Looked straight at my mother. Do you deny this, ma'am? She didn't answer. Just stared ahead, frozen. But it wasn't over. Gary stood up from the bench where he'd been quietly watching. Said, Your Honor, I have something. He handed the court clerk a sealed envelope. Inside was Grandma's original will, with a handwritten note, dated and signed. It said, plainly, if anything happens to me, my assets are to be split equally between my 3 grandchildren. No changes. No exceptions. My dad stood up. This is ridiculous. That letter could be fake. Gary didn't flinch. It's in her handwriting. Verified by the same analyst you're trying to discredit. The judge looked at him. Are you contesting the validity under oath? My dad didn't speak. Just sat down. Jaw clenched. Face pale. That's when the final nail came down. Natalie played an audio recording. One I didn't even know she had. It was my sister. The diner conversation. Clear as day. They moved the trust already. There's nothing left. Even if he wins, he gets nothing. You should have just stayed in your lane. The judge asked where the audio came from. Natalie said it was obtained legally, with consent from one party, me. My mom finally broke. She stood up, tears in her eyes, voice shaking. This is all your fault, she said, staring at me. You're tearing this family apart. Over what? Some money? You think this makes you good? It makes you cruel. The room went dead quiet. I stood too. No, I said. You tore it apart. When you decided I wasn't worth the same love you gave them. When you used me. Lied to me. Took from me. And still wanted me to say thank you. She opened her mouth. Closed it. Opened it again. Then she sat down. And didn't look at me again. The judge ruled that day. The trust had been tampered with. The savings account theft was real. My name was reinstated. My third of the estate was restored. They were fined. Sanctioned. Told to pay damages and legal fees. It was over. But it wasn't. Outside the courthouse, my brother stormed up to me. Hope you're happy. You embarrassed them. You embarrassed all of us. I looked at him. You did that yourselves. My sister didn't say anything. Just walked to their car. Wouldn't meet my eyes. Tyler came over, gave me a hug. Natalie shook my hand. Gary just nodded, like he knew this day would come. That night, I sat in Tyler's living room, staring at the envelope with the court ruling. It didn't feel like a win. It felt like digging out of a hole someone else threw you into. The next week, I got a letter from my mom. Handwritten. Pages long. She said she was sorry, but also that she did what she thought was right at the time. That she regretted the way things played out. that maybe someday I'd understand. I didn't write back. My dad never reached out. My brother blocked me. My sister posted some passive-aggressive quote on Instagram about snakes in the family. Fine, let them. A few weeks later, I went to visit Grandma's grave. Left the court ruling there. Folded. Weighted it down with a rock. I whispered, I fixed it. And I left. Since then, things have been different. I got a new job. Remote. Pays well. Tyler and I are still roommates for now. I see Gary sometimes. He brings me pie. Says Grandma would be proud. I want to believe that. I don't hate my parents. I hate what they did. I hate who they became when they decided I was expendable. But hate eats you up, and I'm not letting them have anything else from me. Not my peace. Not my time. Not my heart. If they ever want to talk, truly talk, I'll listen. But I'm not waiting. They lost that right. For now, I'm learning to be my own person again. To not look over my shoulder. To not feel guilty for saying no. For being tired. For wanting a life. It still hurts sometimes. Especially when I see other families laughing at brunch or siblings hugging on TV. I won't lie. It stings. But healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means surviving. And I did. I survived. I'm still not sure what comes next. But for the first time in a long time, it's my choice. And that's enough.